Everybody is looking for a thrill, but some encounters are better left unexplored. The desert, with its vast, empty expanses and eerie silence, has always been a place of mystery and danger. It's a land where the line between reality and legend blurs, where the unknown lurks just beyond the horizon. For those who dare to venture into its depths, the desert can be both a place of beauty and a place of terror. This is the tale of Michael's last drive through the desert. The night was eerily still as Michael drove along the winding road through the desert. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an otherworldly glow over the landscape. The stars, bright and numerous, seemed to watch over him as he navigated the desolate terrain. Michael had always been drawn to the desert, its stark beauty and solitude offering a sense of peace he couldn't find elsewhere. Only the low hum of his truck's engine and the whisper of wind kept him company. He'd heard stories about things that roamed these lands, but legends are just legends, right? Tales of creatures that could change shape, of spirits that haunted the sands, of voices that called out in the night. Michael had always dismissed these stories as mere folklore, the product of overactive imaginations and the isolation of the desert, until tonight. Just after midnight, something darted through the edge of his headlights. It was quick, almost too quick to see, but Michael caught a glimpse of a shape, something that didn't belong. His heart skipped a beat as he tried to make sense of what he'd seen. Was it an animal, a trick of the light, or something else entirely? He slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. He leaned forward, but whatever it was, it vanished. The road ahead was empty, the desert silent once more. Michael's mind raced as he tried to rationalize what had just happened. He told himself it was probably just a coyote, a common sight in these parts, but deep down, he knew it was something more. Probably just a coyote, he thought. But the unease stuck with him. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that something was out there in the darkness following him. The desert, once a place of solace, now felt menacing and oppressive. Then he heard it. A low, almost human cry. It was faint, barely audible over the sound of the wind, but it sent a chill down his spine. Michael's grip tightened on the wheel as he strained to hear more. The cry came again, louder this time, and unmistakably human. But there was something off about it, something unnatural. His grip tightened on the wheel, glancing into the rearview mirror. Nothing but darkness. The road behind him was empty, the desert stretching out into the night, but the feeling of being watched persisted, an invisible presence that seemed to cling to him. Miles later, he reached his cabin. Silence greeted him. The small, isolated cabin was a welcome sight, a refuge from the unknown terrors of the desert. Michael quickly unloaded his belongings and locked the door behind him, hoping to find some semblance of safety within its walls. He lit a fire, but his mind kept returning to the shape. The flickering flames cast eerie shadows on the walls, and the cabin, once a place of comfort, now felt like a prison. Michael couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone, that something was out there, watching and waiting. Then that same cry echoed. Closer now, it was unmistakable, the same low, almost human sound he had heard on the road. Michael's heart raced as he listened, the cry growing louder and more insistent. It seemed to be coming from just outside the cabin, a haunting call that sent shivers down his spine. He froze. The cry was now accompanied by a scratching sound like nails on wood. Michael's eyes darted to the window where he saw a dark silhouette moving outside. The figure was tall and thin, its movements slow and deliberate. Michael's breath caught in his throat as he watched, unable to look away. Scratching at the door, the sound was relentless, a constant reminder of the presence outside. Michael's mind raced as he tried to think of what to do. He knew he couldn't stay in the cabin, but the thought of going outside, of facing whatever was out there, filled him with dread. Slowly he edged toward the window, nothing but desert. Then it moved. The figure was closer now, its features becoming clearer in the moonlight. It was pale, almost ghostly, with hollow pits for eyes that seemed to stare right through him. Michael's heart pounded in his chest as he watched, paralyzed with fear. Pale, thin, with hollow pits for eyes. The figure was unlike anything Michael had ever seen, a grotesque parody of a human being. Its skin was stretched tight over its bones, and its eyes, or what remained of them, were empty and soulless. Michael's mind struggled to comprehend what he was seeing, the reality of the situation crashing down on him. It mimicked a human voice in a twisted way. The sound was distorted, like a recording played at the wrong speed. It called out to him using his name, the voice both familiar and alien. Michael's blood ran cold as he listened, the creature's voice sending waves of terror through him. Panic surged, no phone signal. The door rattled. Michael's mind raced as he tried to think of a way out. He grabbed his phone, but there was no signal, no way to call for help. The door rattled again, the creature's scratching growing more frantic. Michael knew he had to act fast. He grabbed a poker and braced himself. The door splintered. The creature's strength was terrifying, the wood cracking and breaking under its assault. Michael held the poker tightly, his knuckles white with fear. He knew he was no match for the creature, but he had to try. It slithered in, sniffing the air, and whispered his name. The creature moved with an unnatural grace, its body contorting and twisting as it entered the cabin. It sniffed the air, its hollow eyes locking onto Michael. The sound of his name, whispered in that twisted voice, sent a wave of terror through him. Michael, rancid breath against his skin. The creature was close now, its breath hot and foul against his skin. Michael recoiled in fear, the poker shaking in his hands. He knew he had to do something, but his mind was blank, paralyzed by terror. It dragged him into the desert night. The creature's grip was strong, its fingers like iron as it pulled Michael from the cabin. He struggled, but it was no use. The desert night swallowed them, the stars above watching silently as Michael was dragged into the darkness. The next morning, his truck was found abandoned. No sign of a struggle, no Michael. The sun rose over the desert, casting long shadows over the empty road. Michael's truck sat abandoned. The door opened, but there was no sign of him. The desert, once a place of mystery and beauty, now held a dark secret. But if you listened closely late at night on that road, you might hear his name. The desert holds its secrets close, but sometimes, if you listen carefully, you can hear the whispers of those who have been lost to its depths. Michael's name, carried on the wind, a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurk in the darkness. And if you're unlucky, it might find you too. The desert is a place of beauty and danger, a land where the line between reality and legend blurs. For those who dare to venture into its depths, the unknown awaits, ready to claim those who are unprepared. So, if you find yourself driving through the desert at night, be careful. You never know what might be watching from the shadows.